Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome to another Toonkind at 12 FPS. My name is Mira, and I will be playing Sammy Jax this morning. And with me is the very, very wonderful and scheming...
Yes, scheming. I am Wick, and I'm gonna be playing a certain mime who has kind of showed up, I guess.
Mm-hmm. There's probably a little bit of unfinished business that Maia has in Toontown, I would say.
Yeah, plenty.
Anyways, to start things off, Maia, can you roll me a perception check?
Oh, I would love to. Let me. I was not in the roll zone for a second. Oh. All right, so that's a 9.
Oh, Maia, are you still exhausted?
Anyway, that's a 9.
Wick, I'm gonna strangle you, I say affectionately. Anyways, with that 9, you don't notice it right off the bat. It very quickly, well, not very quickly, it's actually really gradual. You just suddenly blink and you've like it feels like you've blinked and all of a sudden you're in a pretty abandoned part of Toontown. It's very dilapidated. There are broken windows from old abandoned shops and no one is here, and it is very quiet.
Maya looks about and then just kind of takes a small breath and just keeps going.
Okay, I'm just gonna use Dice Parser because I forgot to grab my dice.
Oh no, we can stuff for you good dice.
No, it's fine. It's I'm just gonna roll a thing. Okay, you kind of hear out of the silence you hear what? Coming from somewhere a little bit ahead of you.
At hearing this, Maya's gonna stop and just like look about, like, where did that come from? And also, oh no, what is that sound?
Mm-hmm. Oh, also, we didn't establish where in the timeline is this.
Don't worry about it.
Well,
I'm kidding. I don't actually know.
Well, mainly
you can use the most current sheet. It's okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then in that case, I would say it's post. Simon says post a whole lot of crap.
Yeah, post most things.
Okay, like that's mainly what I was asking because, you know.
I realized that the moment you asked, like, where are we in the timeline? I'm thinking, I don't know. Gosh, I can't even keep my own timeline straight.
I mean, like, that kind of tracks for tunes and stuff, you know, because...
Yeah, continuity errors happen all the time.
Happen, yeah, and plus, also, like, you, as, like, a DM, you do have the power to just say, forget some of the things I've said previously, this is actually canon. But, yeah, since you're looking around, Maia, why don't you roll me investigation?
Investigation. Okay. I can type. That's an 8.
Okay. With an 8, you don't really know where exactly the noise came from. You kind of feel like it was someone pulling against something and then falling over, but you're not entirely sure on that at the same time. And I'm just gonna roll another thing. Okay. Then, like, you hear kind of, a bit of, a kind of, like, clattering as if, like, a pot had just barely missed shattering against the ground.
Oh, I know that sound.
If you want, you can roll another investigation to see where exactly this sound is coming from.
I'll try. This is going great, I say, as my mind is completely bewildered. That's a 5. We're only getting worse from here.
Oh, Maia. Oh, Maia, I hold you very softly. Yeah, you again are just... I feel like you're just honestly staying in place, just looking around, trying to figure out where the heck this sound is coming from.
Yeah, that's probably what's happening. And then the more that they're just standing there, the more that they kind of feel some fatigue hitting them, but they're like, no, I gotta focus. Where is it coming from? Am I in danger? I don't think so, but...
Yeah. And you... I'm just gonna roll... Just one last time to see if... Yeah, no, this time you definitely hear the shattering of pottery from what looks like to be an abandoned theater? And there is a small burst of very annoyed Grolix. Someone is not having a very good day.
Oh. But, but I would like to say, currently, Maia is carrying a small bag with them, but they set it down for a moment to procure something from their hat. They put it back on, picked up their bag, and they now have their mace in hand, and they are ready just in case, because they have not been over here before, and they just do not like the sounds.
Oh boy, okay. Maia,
they're gonna go towards the sound, though.
Okay. The Grolix kind of continues, and you can kind of understand that there is some mild cursing out of a blasted pot that just, like, this person sounds very familiar. You don't really remember him cursing you out, really, even though he did sound kind of annoyed at you the last time he spoke. But yeah, since it's been a bit, Maia, do you want to roll history to see if you can place who this person is before you meet face to face with him?
Oh boy, do I. So that's an 8.
Yeah, no, you just know that this sounds very familiar, and you don't really know exactly who it is, but it sounds very, very annoyed, and there's a lot of cursing as, like, kind of in the vein of, I needed that, and just grumbling very upsetly. But the noise kind of leads further and further, not directly in from the theater, but kind of in from an alleyway perpendicular to it, and you're able to slip through a slat if you are investigating.
Do you want me to?
You don't have to roll. Maia's exhausted. I'm kind of just guiding you so we can actually start the...
Where's the conversation? But I will say that upon at least vaguely recognizing the voice, but not placing who it is, Maia quickly stashes the mace back in their hammer space. But for now, they are attempting to be stealthy. That's an 11.
Okay, let me roll Sammy's perception. Oh, okay. Alright. That was 15 plus 4. That definitely, Sammy definitely notices Maia creeping through the slat, and the girl looks there's kind of almost a skidding noise as he falls silent. And Maia, you can see Sammy Jax standing over a broken pot. But it's interesting because last time you saw this Toon, he was in gray. He is now clad in a black cloak, and his hair is he actually has his hood down, and his hair, rainbow hair, is tied up in kind of a loose ponytail to kind of keep it away from him, out of his way, and he's not wearing any mask, and he's just kind of staring at you with deer in the headlights look in his face.
I have to admit, when Sammy spots Maia, they also have the same kind of look, oh shoot. But then they quickly regain kind of composure, and now they just plainly walk, but not they don't want to scare Sammy or anything. They're just kind of approaching, but not too fast.
Sammy just kind of blinks and just kind of is hi, what are you doing here, Mix Maia?
Maia kind of gives admittedly that they kind of do a hard swallow, oh boy. But they're actually not looking at you, Sammy. They're looking at the shattered pot that is on the ground. They kind of close. Go ahead.
You can kind of see that there's some scattered soil from the shattered pot, but there's no actual plants in there.
Maia's gonna close the gap and but kind of stand and then crouch near the pot. They take out from their little beret a little bottle of glue.
Oh no, it's fine. I can just get all the pieces and mend it. I dropped it. It's fine. I can fix it later. It's okay. Thank you for offering the glue.
Maia first looks and then it's oh, okay. And kind of just stashes it back in their hat. They look around a little, and then they kind of make a sweeping motion, all right, I'll at least clean it up.
No, I can do it. It's fine. And Sammy, from his short sleeve kind of layered over his longer sleeve, kind of pulls out a small dustpin and broom, kind of that, you know how some brooms will have the set together.
Yes.
He basically does that and kind of quickly sweeps it up, and just if I remember right, mending is just you touch it and it fixes itself. So in the dustpan there is soon a moderately sized pot. No wonder he accidentally dropped it. It's kind of big.
Maya just kind of just stands there while this is happening.
Sammy kind of just carefully sets the empty pot down and just kind of rubs the back of his head. And if you want, Maya, make me a perception check.
More perception. Perception. All right, that's a 5.
Okay. The DC wasn't super big. Like a 5 meets the DC. Maya, you first hear, which is interesting because before entering this garden area behind the theater, you realize, you hear a fountain, and you look around and you see, kind of hidden behind some bushes and trees, is a statue of a woman with rainbow hair, from the spear is water coming down from a fountain, and is a fountain.
As Maya takes a look, would you like to roll insight?
Oh boy, would I like to... Oh, Sammy, come on. That was a 7 plus... Yeah, he has a 1 in insight. Yeah, so that was an 8.
That was an 8. Hold on, I want to see what happened. Actually, no, I wouldn't say that that's too bad. From what you can tell, Maya looks a little bit in awe of it, but you're not sure why. Maybe because it's kind of a neat fountain. Maybe it's because of the statue. Maybe the water just looks nice and refreshing. But they look away from the fountain and back to you, Sammy. And they actually kind of lift the bag that they were holding in their hand, which just kind of looks like a cloth bag. That they point at it, and then they make the sign for eat.
Are you... Sammy kind of signs back, kind of like with his head tilted in a questioning manner. Are you wanting to share lunch? Like, are you wanting? Like, are you wanting to eat? Like, what's? There are visible question marks over his head. He's confused.
They look a little sheepish and elaborate with, "I brought some dessert for after lunch." In sign.
Sammy nods and is like, "Hold on, one sec." He has switched from speaking to actual sign by this point. I'm just gonna say, wait, no, that was the wrong dice. Okay, that was an 8. So he pulls out from his hammer space a basket.
The basket. Me, I love this basket.
So do I. And he quickly unfurls he sets it down on the ground and unfurls it. Oops, I keep hitting my mic.
It's okay.
And he unfurls it and quickly sets up a plate of sandwiches. There's some lemonade. There's also like some water, and there is a little meal. And Sammy just kind of quickly sits down on one end of the picnic blanket and just kind of, he smiles at you, Maya, but he's also... You can roll insight.
Yeah, you can roll insight. Me. Oh boy, what's your insight, mind? Okay, that's a 17.
Oh, that's good. Maya, you can tell that he's trying to be courteous, and he's fallen back on some very, very old habits. And but you can tell that he's on edge. He doesn't know why you're here. And he's worried.
Which is completely understandable.
And you remember the last time you interacted with him, things didn't go very well.
Uh-huh. So, when the whole thing was set out, Maia was just blinking rapidly, like, oh, whoa, because they hadn't seen this in action before. It was neat. But upon seeing Sammy being courteous but not trusting, obviously, but they just very, very carefully sit opposite of them, and they're gonna go right for it. They set down the bag, and then they sign, "You're probably wondering why I'm here."
Sammy just nods back because yes, he is wondering why Maia is back in Toontown.
And so they continue signing. The last time that we interacted, it was different and not good.
Yeah,
so,
you could say that.
So I was hoping to explain myself and perhaps make amends.
I can at least hear you out, I suppose.
Maia just nods. But they go to the bag and they undo the bag because it's tied on the top. They take out one little box, and you see them place it down, and then they open it up, and it's like a little loaf cake.
Oh, that's so cute.
It's surprisingly a little bit of a green color.
Sammy's gonna roll, should I roll, like, maybe, like, a history to see if Sammy recognizes the cake? Like, what it might be?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Sammy has no idea. That's a straight 6.
Well, you do know that it is some kind of cake. You are not quite sure what kind, especially to give it that particular hue.
Mm-hmm.
So you can only guess.
Out of character, is that matcha cake?
Oh, I wish it was, but I actually had something else in mind.
My other guess is pistachio.
And it is pistachio.
Hey! My second guess was right.
But they kind of just get like a little knife also from the bag, and they just kind of start slicing a little bit of it.
Mm-hmm. And like there are plates set
like,
out that are empty, so like she can
nice.
they can dish up as you know.
And as they do plate one or two pieces, they do sign, "Don't mind dessert before dinner."
Sammy kind of offers a small smile at that, and just kind of is like, sweets can sometimes be better before food.
So they offer a plate to you. And
Sammy takes it, and like he does kind of give a little like bow at that. Like it's not a full bow, but like it's kind of like one of those like
it's one of those half bows.
Yeah, it's like a very quick half bow, and he does take it, interestingly enough, with both of his hands on like each side of the plate as he does so. And like he just kind of sets it into his lap, because like he's sitting not cross-legged like one would expect. He is sitting with his legs folded underneath him in a kneeling position. Yeah,
I thought so. On the other hand, Maia has sit cross-legged and has their has their little plate in front of them. And they pause for a moment as they just kind of stare at the slice. And then they look over to you like, I guess expecting like just for you to try it, maybe.
Need to look at Sammy's spells real quick.
Spells?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
He's not gonna do anything bad. It's just
no.
Where is that spell? Okay. He kind of does like an interesting hand motion, and like there's just like a little kind of sparkle that like happens around the food, and then just kind of fades, and he nods and then starts eating.
Okay, just a moment. Maia, please. So that's an 8. I would like to describe for you what this cake tastes like with an 8.
Oh no.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't totally bad, but when you bite into it, you are immediately confused. The taste isn't that bad. It's, it feels kind of off, but not in an off-putting kind of way. But the texture is very strange. You took one little piece that was like maybe near the top of it, and it was kind of a little too moist, almost kind of soggy-ish. But then you decide, well, maybe I have to eat another little portion. And then you take a little from the middle, and it's a little dry? How did that happen? And then before you even get to the bottom portion, you realize that they have burnt the entire bottom of the cake.
Oh, Maia. Just gonna... Okay, that is a... what's your deception modifier, my boy? Okay.
Can I roll insight even though it's probably not going to be good? So that's a 12. Yeah, no, Maia. Oh, Maia, please.
You don't know what exact expression is on Sammy's face. It just kind of freezes for a second as he's chewing, and then there's a very visible, obvious swallow, and I'm just gonna roll again. That's an 18 plus 5. Yeah, you blink, and all of a sudden his plate is empty.
Oh my god.
You don't know where it went. It's gone. Maybe he just ate it really quick. You don't know.
Oh no. Maia, this, I like how this, this time, in the span of that happening, Maia had gotten a little forkful and was about to eat it, and then yours disappears, and they're like, so, here's what they're gonna do. They actually set down their plate, and they kind of offer a handout, to get the plate back from you.
Sammy will hand over the plate.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, he hands over the plate.
So then they're gonna cut another piece and put it on your plate. Because apparently you really liked it, so...
Well,
Maia, you stupid.
He got, he got an 8 on his next, sleight of hand, so,
Oh, that's a sleight of hand. Uh-oh. So what happened?
You see, you very clearly see Sammy, what does he do? Yeah, he would do this. He wouldn't even subject this to his plants. He just
Oh my god.
very, very quickly sliding it into his sleeve, which is his hammer space. He'll clean that out later.
Hold on. I still want to roll this to see if it. Okay, good. Now you finally get it. That is insight.
You, Maya, you very quickly realize that, Sammy is, he's not picky, but he's been able to establish a supply of food for himself, and normally if in any other situation, without his garden, he would force himself to eat this, but you very quickly realize that the texture is really bad. I'm sorry. And he looks really guilty being caught out, but like he just he can finally just choose. He can just finally choose what to eat, and he feels really guilty about this, but at the same time, he didn't want to offend you, but he also just, the texture.
Yeah.
The texture. Oh no.
Yeah. No, listen. As someone who is very big on texture, like, I completely understand.
Handshake. It's just, as soon as you described the sogginess of the top portion of the he could handle dry. He could handle dry. It's the soggy bit is what really got him. I'll be real. The soggy bit was just like, he was just like, nope,
can't do that. God, I feel that. But yes, Maya has finally connected the dots, and
and like, it just, you very visibly see the guilt.
But at the same time, as you are displaying your guilt, Maya is kind of displaying this, oh, it happened again, huh? Just to make sure, Maya picks up their own plate, scoops a little bit, and eats a little piece of it, and then just has this face like, yeah, it's what I thought.
It was a good try. It tasted fine. Just texture. I'm sorry.
Maya quickly signs, it's okay. This always happens. They set the plate down to the side. They very quietly, well, as quietly as a mime can be, they fold up and close the box of the cake. They put that on the opposite side, and then they go into their bag and they pull out a second box. They open it up, and it's a nice little pound cake. And they quickly sign, this was just in case this one was messed up. I didn't make this one.
Sammy just kind of nods. Like, he gets it. He's learning how to cook and stuff, but he's also just kind of like, more cake. Oh no. Internally.
More cake.
But with that 17, you can very easily kind of read that. Like, he's not trying to be mean, it's just kind of...
Oh no, it's just kind of like, yes, there's still cake to be had.
Well, no, he's a little wary about this cake as well, just because the texture is still very fresh in his mind. But, like, you also get the sense that he's not used to how expressive his face can be. Because if you remember, he wore a mask the last time you saw him.
Yes. Um, but as Maya sets down the box and notices the still apprehensive nature of Sammy, they kind of uh, they, they very quickly turn the box around, and you can see they bought this one from a bakery. So you know it's gonna be okay.
Sammy immediately relaxes. And like he looks really sheepish to do so, but like he just thank goodness.
Yeah, I know. Maya gives like that gives a bit of a smile. It's both apologetic and also a little sad. Like, yeah, I got this just in case. Sorry. But
it's okay. Thank you for trying though.
Their smile kind of turns wry and then just kind of waves it off a little like, yeah, I don't think it was gonna work anyway.
Maybe that's their issue.
But they turn it back around, open it up, do the same thing as before, but this time with this nice pound cake. And as you take a bite, yes, this is just a nice regular pound cake. It's, not like the greatest in the world, but it's certainly much better than the previous cake.
No sleight of hand needed. Sammy very quickly devours this, like, very visibly.
And instead of taking your plate, Maya just points to the box in a gesture that says, if you want to have more, just go ahead.
Sammy nods, but like he does set his empty plate aside for a moment because food's great, but he does want to have his attention to what Maya has to say.
And as both of you kind of settle down from cake shenanigans, Maya just kind of looks down at the picnic blanket for a little bit, and they're not trying to hide anything. You can kind of tell from their expression that they're trying to figure out what to say or what to say first.
Mm-hmm.
And they take a deep breath. And then they have their face set like, yeah, all right, I know what I'm going to do. And they sign to you. Thank you again for watching over Bevan.
It was the least I could do. Bev's my friend.
And there's a little hesitation, but then they continue signing. I realize that now. It was my mistake not to trust you.
Why didn't you trust us? What basis besides...
Would you like to make an insight check?
Whew! Yes! Okay, dirty 20.
Oh, a dirty 20? Oh, no. Oh, yep, that's a 7. So, they are trying
that's
to...
Not just that's not just a 7, that's a nat 1.
Yeah, you realize that they paused, and then the pause is a little longer. And you realize that both of their hands are kind of like ripping the blanket a bit at their sides, and the expression on their face, it's it's kind of difficult to say what it is because it's a lot of stuff. Um, it seems to be some kind of regret, some kind of sadness, nostalgia of sorts. There seems to be a lot going on here.
Makes Maya, maybe you could start with your relationship to Bev?
And that causes them to look up at you. They had been looking down the whole time, and they look up at you with wide eyes.
Because
and then they look away.
You care for them a lot. And I don't know if that's just because you guys were in the same troupe or something else. But maybe you could start there.
It's a moment before Maya slowly nods. They take off their beret once more and reach in and pull out what looks to be some kind of binder or book, some kind of like maybe a scrapbook or some kind of album. They hold it in front of them for a moment and they just kind of look at it. And without saying anything, they very quickly, with both hands, they just hold it out to you, but with their head down, like here.
Sammy very carefully takes the offered album.
And as you do so, you take a look at the front, and the title of this kind of scrapbooky photo album is The Brush Family.
Just gonna roll intelligence to see if Sammy can actually connect the dots. Okay, that is...
Let's see, you can do it at advantage if you'd like.
Okay, please, because he's... Whew. Okay, yeah, because he was gonna need it, because that was a 13 initially, and now that's a 19.
Nice. And things are starting to make sense. Especially with how the album looks and the title. You realize that this is most certainly a family photo album, and with the name Brush, of course you remember that Bevan's last name is Brush. So you have an inkling as to what to expect when you open it.
Mm-hmm. Sammy looks up at Maia. He hasn't opened the photo album yet, but he just kind of quietly looks at them and asks, he signs. The album is in his lap. He just signs, Are you one of Bev's parents?
And when you looked up at them to sign it, they were not looking at you. They were looking away, with one arm kind of grasping the other. And but they can see from out of their periphery, and their grip tightens.
You lost Bev before all this, didn't you?
And as you as you state this, you can see their face start scrunching up, crumpling a bit, like they're ready to cry.
Oh, oops, that was, again, the wrong dice. Okay, that was 6. From Sammy's hammer's face, he does pull out a white handkerchief edged with rainbow, and he just hands it to you, Maya, and he just...
They go to take the handkerchief, but then stop. And then they retract their hand.
You can have it. It's not good to keep all of your emotions inside.
And they kind of sign like, I get that, but then they kind of make a circle around their face like, I don't want to get all this makeup on your handkerchief.
It's okay. I've got a bunch, plus cloth. I can wash it later.
They still look a little hesitant, but then they do take it. But they don't put it to their face or anything yet. They just keep it on their lap.
Mm-hmm. What happened to their other parent?
Maia makes no move to sign anything, but merely points at the album.
Sammy he'll open the album.
And the first page of it appears to be some kind of wedding photo. It has 2 individuals in the traditional bride and groom attire. But you do notice that one of them is a Toon and the other is a real kind. The woman and man, respectively.
Mm-hmm. There's a light bulb that goes over Sammy's head. Like, oh, so many things make more sense now. And he just kind of, was this your partner?
Again, Maia makes no answer and just stares hard at the ground.
Sammy just kind of sighs, and he very carefully flips to the next page.
So the next page is kind of like, so now we got to like a 2-page spread.
Mm-hmm.
There is, there are a couple pictures. What appears to be, one is like an outside photo of, a photo of the outside of a house, followed by a couple of interior photos. And there's also one of the 2 of them, the same pair of people, in the kitchen. But if you would like, you can do investigation or history with advantage.
Okay, let's see. The investigation is not great either way. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that was a 10 and a 7.
I still think it works. Because as you look at the picture of the house, you kind of look at it and then you squint, and then you remember back to Bevan's drawing of the 2 people that you didn't recognize and the building behind them. It seems as if it could fit.
Bevan still remembers this.
At that, Maya snaps their head up to look at you.
Not clearly, I don't think, but they drew a picture with the house. And does Sammy recognize the two people? With like in conjunction with the picture, like the picture that Bevan had drawn.
Well, as you look from the house picture to the two of them in the kitchen, the woman is sitting at the kitchen table with like a cup of tea, and then the man is kind of leaning on the sink counter, but with his back towards like the window. They're facing each other.
Mm-hmm.
You notice that the man has blonde hair and a brown suit, and the woman has a pink and yellow dress. They do very much look like the people in Bevan's drawing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like, he just kind of continues like they drew them. These people in a drawing a little while ago. I'm pretty sure that even if it's just faint memories, they still remember.
And now Maya has a hand to their mouth, and they kind of look bewildered, but also they actually look rather upset.
Sammy's rolling inside on that. Oh, come on, Sammy. Okay, that was 9.
Well, I mean, to be fair, they're not hiding it now. So they seem to be surprised that Bevan would still remember these events, and at the same time, they look upset that either they hadn't realized it or it's something in relation to the house or the other person.
Mm-hmm. What happened, Mix Maya? What changed?
They slowly take their hand from their mouth back to their beret, and they take out what looks like a crumpled piece of paper. It's not crumpled like into a ball. It is folded, but you can tell that the note had been crumpled up before.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of take another breath and hand the note over to you.
Sammy very carefully takes this note.
And as you start to unfold it, they sign, "This was left by him when Bevan was about 2.
Sammy reads the note.
Should I have prepared an actual note? Yes. Did I not? Yes.
You are so valid. Just give me the gist.
But the gist of it is, the penmanship is actually relatively nice. It's not in cursive, but it's actually pretty clear to read.
Oh, good. Sammy would have struggled if it were cursive.
No, it was in print.
Mm-hmm.
And it is addressed to a person named Nora. And from what you can tell, the note reads that whoever had written the note was no longer how do I put this? That they couldn't bear to be with them anymore, and that they had taken Bevan somewhere else.
Oof.
And as you read this note, you hear very slight sniffling, and you see that Maia has turned pretty much halfway away from you, holding the handkerchief up to their face.
Why? Okay, were there any other Sammy kind of sets the note down, and he looks at you, Maia, and he's like, Mix Maia. If that's still your preferred name that you would wish to be called by, were there any signs that your partner was dissatisfied before this? Or was this completely out of the blue?
You can see that, though silent, Maia has begun to weep harder, but turns to face you and just nods.
First of all, I am very sorry for that.
And then they sign, "It was my fault. It was all my fault. Why couldn't I have been better?"
Wick! 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 Ow! Right through the chest. Okay. Alright. Okay. Let me just... Oh!
Let me just...
Okay. Alright. Okay. Sammy's in full... Okay, I need to help mode. But also... Ah! Okay. 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 What makes you say that?
Maia takes a moment to try and compose themselves, wiping at their face. And as they do so, you notice that some of the makeup is coming off.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to make a medicine check?
Oh no. Okay. Let's... Sammy, why?
It's okay. It's probably not... Well, I don't know.
He got a 5.
Got a 5. Well, I mean, the DC wasn't very high. You won't get all of it, but you'll get a little bit. They have begun to kind of clean off most of it, or at least from the eyes down. But you notice on one side of their face, there seems to be some kind of scarring. You can't tell what it could be from, but it is kind of, it looks like it originates from like their jaw and goes, kind of splays out towards their eyes, nose, and mouth. It isn't super bad, but...
Wick! Can Sammy... Can Sammy determine whether it is it made by a cut or is it more like a burn?
I will let you roll medicine one more time.
Dice, please be nice to me. Please be nice to me. Oh, mother pecker! It's a 6!
Well, that's one more. If you rolled lower, I wouldn't have given it. But I will give it to you since you rolled higher than the 5 from earlier. As you kind of lean in a little to look a bit closer, it does seem to be some kind of burn.
Okay. Alright. Okay, that was the... That was an 8 for Sammy's with save.
Uh-oh. Ruh-roh.
He just kind of freezes as he realizes that this is not just any old type of scarring. This is a burn scar. And he just very trying to figure out what he would say to this, but he was it a fire?
Maia looks suddenly a bit startled and instinctively touches the side of their face that has this scar and shakes their head. They actually pause and just point to their throat. They sign, "That is why he left."
Because you got hurt? So you couldn't talk anymore?
It looks like they were going to say yes, and then the second part, they shake their head. And I would like to take this time to make things a little easier. They begin to sign and explain why, but in Toonish fashion, we kind of ripple into a flashback of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
And in this flashback, you see the couple that that was in the album, and they are walking happily and smiling at each other towards a particular building you don't recognize. The scene shifts to some kind of office space, and the two of them holding hands. The man starts speaking to someone that you can't see that is sitting behind a desk. They look a little bit older, but you can't see their face. But you can tell from their body language that they do not look happy. And you can see that both the man and whoever this other person is are starting to look a bit agitated, with the woman looking a little frightened, but not totally scared. And then you see the figure behind the desk stand up suddenly, and with one swift motion, they pick up their coffee cup and throw.
Oh. From there,
the scene shifts to inside the house, and you do see bandages on this woman, but they seem to be all right. They kind of put a reassuring hand on the man's shoulder, but they look still a little upset. Then it shifts once more to just the woman walking down the street with supposedly a bag of groceries. As they make their way to the front door, they open it and go inside. And then they stop. The once pristine-looking place is a mess. There's just broken pottery, there is scratches, and just the place is just not looking good at all. They look very surprised. There is also what seems to be blood on the floor. She drops the bag and starts looking around frantically, only to find a note. And when they read said note, they fall to their knees and sob. The flashback kind of fades from there, and by now most of the makeup is actually off of their face, and you do recognize them, albeit they have a different hair of sorts. But you recognize them to be the same person, the woman in there.
Which name would you prefer me to address you as? Maya or Nora?
They seem to think hard about this. But then they swallow thickly and just sign Maia.
Sammy nods to that. Okay. Mix Maya. What you've told me. I don't think it was your fault.
Immediately Maia shakes their head and then nods as if to say, no, it was. They go to their bag. There is one more item left. They take out this bundle that is kind of like a dark blue cloth. They set it out, and they bite the corner of their lip as in hesitation. Like, should I open it? Should I show them? But they push on, and they unfurl the cloth. And I won't even make you do a check for this, Sammy. You can immediately tell that it is a broken statuette of Prismatone.
Sammy freezes and looks at them. What happened?
And they don't sign anything at first. You can tell from their face it is filled with regret and fear. They point to the statuette and then point to their voice, their throat, essentially.
Did she take your voice away?
Maia shakes their head, and they sign. I shouldn't have blamed them. It wasn't her fault. It was mine. I thought, and they stop signing for a minute and then continue. I thought because I was made this way, that I wanted to know why they would make me this way. So I got angry, and then they just placed their hands down.
Next, Maia, were you always born mute?
They shake their head decisively, and they sign. After what happened, I vowed not to speak again until I found him.
Oh. Makes Maia being angry at a deity is your right, but just because you were yourself doesn't mean that you were made wrong. To me, it sounds like this was the action of others, not you. You said that you came home and the house was a mess. Was your partner someone who would leave like that? Leave it in a mess? Leave it with blood on the floor?
And Maia now looks frantic as they sign. I thought he killed them. I was so scared. And then when I found them after so long, I just couldn't bear to see them away from me. But they couldn't know. Was I really a good mother? So that's when I decided I would watch over them, but hidden. They don't need to know.
But they miss you. Makes Maia. They miss you a lot, even if they don't remember you fully. If I could have my parents back,
Maia goes from staring at the blanket to looking up at Sammy. They reach out one shaky hand and with the other sign, I'm sorry.
It was 8 years ago, it's fine. 9 years actually. But you're still here, makes Maia. I think you should tell them. And I'm suspecting that there is some form of foul play in this.
Maya kind of narrows their eyes a little, but they look uh they kind of look a little confused, but like, huh?
Mix Maya, you stated that there was an argument between your partner and someone else. You came home later after this argument had taken place to find the house in disarray and them gone. They left a note, but are you really sure that it was them who actually wrote the note? Was this something that they would really do? And I want you to think back carefully. Disregard your own emotional reaction to this. Discounting what has happened before. Leading up to this, would they have done it? Or is this something out of character? Is this something out of character for your partner?
It's this pensive look on their face. I would like to clarify, though, that that kind of each scene of sorts from the one with them walking to this office of sorts and having that conversation, to the scene in the kitchen with one being reassuring, one not, and then the third one. Those actually take place across the timeline.
Right. I'm just
saying
they
are not the same day.
I'm not saying that they're the same day, but I'm just saying, like, chronologically speaking, there was steps that happened.
That's true.
Like, that's what Sammy's trying to say. He wasn't implying that it all happened in the same day.
Yeah, imagine.
Oh, that would be rough. Awful.
But after a minute, they kind of just sigh, and they sign. It is his handwriting.
Did you ever get it checked, though? It could still have been forged.
And Maya looks up and shakes their head. They sign, it's his own stationery. Something people wouldn't really have access to.
Makes Maya, there are spells that can coax a person into doing something they normally wouldn't do.
She quickly signs, he wouldn't fall for that.
It's not a matter of falling for it. Makes Maya. It could have been someone they trusted. Regardless, the note, coupled with how much disaster was in your home, they don't add up. To me, it paints a picture of struggle. And a 2-year-old Toon wouldn't struggle like that, the way you described the destruction.
Would you like to roll insight?
That was an 11.
Yeah, that checks. So right now, first, you can just kind of tell that they are torn between, like, there's kind of this guilt as to maybe, like, if it wasn't them, maybe. I'm trying to remember. Sorry. Um, they feel a little guilty for uh, possibly assuming that it could have just been this other individual, but at the same time, they're still not quite convinced.
Mm-hmm. Sammy reaches over and kind of just gently takes Maia's hands in his, kind of just lifting them up a little bit, and like in a fashion that he's like kind of like offering comfort but also not trapping their hands if they wish to speak. And he says aloud, "Makes Maya. I'll keep a lookout for any signs of your partner. Because this, in my experience, this is something that is most likely some form of foul play. And if we can solve this mystery, then I think it'll help you and Bev, and I'm hoping your partner."
Maya just slowly nods, and they do slip out their hands out from your grasp, but just to sign. His name is Thomas.
Thomas? Like, this is me out of character, just making sure I heard right, correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thomas. Okay. And Sammy's actually going to pull out from his hammer space, too. He pulls out a notepad, and he actually starts scribbling down everything that Maia has told him. Because, guess what? Sammy Jackson's now on the case.
Maia watches you do this, but then they sign, "I'm sorry."
Sammy looks up because he did see from his peripherals them signing, and he kind of just gives you a wry smile and shakes his head. Trauma makes us do irrational things. Makes Maya. I'm not angry at you anymore. I can understand where you're coming from.
But shakes their head just a little, and they sign. You shouldn't have to deal with something like this, especially given your age.
Trust me, I've dealt with a lot of things I shouldn't have dealt with.
Out of character. Oh, I know.
If I can help prevent Bevan from going through what I did, then that's the best payment I could ever receive.
And hold on, let me just. I gotta roll something. Okay, yep, that's a 10. That was a whiz save. Uh, yeah, Maya is just. Maya just opens their arms and just grabs you into a hug.
Oh, thank you,
Uh,
Maya. He just kind of very awkwardly kind of pats you on the back because he was not expecting it. Like he's still got his, like, in one hand he's still got his notebook, and the other he's got his pencil, and he's just kind of, oh, okay, I guess we're being hugged now.
they tremble a bit, and for just a split second, you thought you could hear a very, very quiet thank you. I would also like to point out that during this, I would say that the album got a little jostled. It turned to the next page, and you can see multiple pictures of a little baby. And you realize that's Bev. That's Bev's baby pictures.
You're welcome, Mix Maya. And Sammy does eventually hug back after he kind of wiggles his arms enough, because I imagine that they kind of just grabbed him.
Yeah.
So he kind of had to awkwardly free his arms to hug them back.
And unless there's anything else you would like to add, you just feel like stopping there?
Yeah, that's a pretty good stopping point, I feel.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Yeah. Thank you for playing.
Thank you for having me. I am very just quietly dying on the inside because, oh my heart. Anyways, we're gonna say goodbye to the recording. Bye.
Yep. Bye.